It is outrageous indeed. There's a lot of shock all over the place, Stephen. The FSCA says this is in line, however, with the Financial Sector Tribunal's decision on insider trading regarding Steinhoff International Holdings. To talk more about this, though, we have Unati Kamlana, the Commissioner of the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. Mr. Kamlana, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. There was this Financial Sector Tribunal decision on insider trading regarding Steinhoff, which has led to this particular penalty being revised downwards. Explain what happened from the time that you imposed 161 million rands in terms of an administrative penalty to what has led you to revise that downwards and make the announcement today.
Thanks, Colin. Thank you for the opportunity. So, a couple of things. The first one is that the decisions of the Financial Sector Conduct Authority as a financial sector regulator are reviewable by the tribunal. This is a recourse mechanism that's provided for in the Financial Sector Regulation Act. And what happened here after the decision, the initial decision of the FSCA to impose 161 million on Mr. Jooste, he took that on review to the tribunal, and the decision of the tribunal, as you have indicated, was made last year in December. And there were a few things that they talked to, including that part of the original finding they were setting aside, and also on the finding that they were agreeing to, they instructed the FSCA to reconsider the size of the fine. We've been spending the time since then to look at the various factors that the tribunal pointed out to us in terms of their instruction for us to reconsider the decision, and we then arrived at this amount of 20 million rand in terms of the insider trading part of the violations.
So, Mr. Kamlana, what you are basically saying is that Markus Jooste took the decision of the FSCA on review and he actually won. How do you think the public will view this, or this will play out in the public, particularly this action by the FSCA, because it seems like it is a slap on the wrist coming from 161 million rand to a mere 20 million rand by his own standards, which he can clearly afford. The public want to see action, but not this type of action.
I think it's quite important, Colin, that you should think about the actions of official sector bodies around this in a comprehensive way. So the FSCA is focusing on specific breaches of the Financial Markets Act, and when we are able to talk to the public about the rest of the work, we'll do so at a particular point in time. But there's also criminal work around this. I think there was a press briefing recently from Hawk's perspective and so on. I don't think the public should only look at what one part of official sector bodies is able to do to hold accountable someone, given the magnitude of the issues we're dealing with here around Steinhoff. So for this part, this is focused on the insider trading breaches. There was a technical finding around the detailed nature of the SMS that was sent by Mr. Jooste, which the tribunal felt that it was vague and imprecise, and therefore did not quite agree with our original finding, and that this required the kind of fine that we had originally imposed. We are a creature of statute. We have to respect the findings of the tribunal. We also have to respect, of course, the rights of individuals to take our findings on review, as I've said. The fine that we've settled on, I don't think it's a slap on the wrist. I don't think we can say that. If you look at the various fines and size of fines that we have imposed for various other infringements as the FSCA. This, in our calculation, for the specific breach, again, to emphasize that, we think that it is fair. It meets the criteria that the tribunal referred to of being objective and fair. So that's why we made this decision.
I can promise you a lot of people will see it differently when it comes to the mastermind that caused a 200 billion rand collapse of a company, and he's worth more money, and being imposed on now a 20 million rand fine. But something else, Mr. Kamlana, that is quite interesting is that Section 78 of the Financial Markets Act is actually very clear in terms of what is prohibited when it comes to insider trading. So as far as your statement says, the tribunal concluded that as far as the Act is concerned, the information that Markus Jooste provided in the warning that he sent in an SMS to Mr. Jaap du Toit, Dr. Geraldus Berger and Mr. Martinus Suigelaar and the late Mr. Orchid Oosthuizen to encourage them to sell their Steinhoff shares just before the collapse, because he knew that there was going to be collapse. The tribunal says that was a vague SMS, it was not imprecise, and it just kills this story once again. It seems this is the second win for Markus Jooste.
No. I mean, I've already spoken to that. So there were two parts of the original finding. The first was this Section 78.4, which was looking specifically in what you're talking about, which is that the tribunal said the message itself was vague and imprecise. But Section 8.5, the tribunal agreed with our finding and just instructed us to reconsider the size of the fine, given the factors that I've just spoken to, and the need for the fine to be fair, balanced, and objective. I think it's quite important. I mean, you are referring to this overall size of Steinhoff and the collapse. I think it's quite important to just focus on the fact that this decision talks only to the insider trading part of the breaches. As I was saying earlier, when we are in a position to talk about the broader collapse and what else is being done, we will do so at an appropriate time. So I think it might be inappropriate and incorrect at this time to talk about this as the only possible action that all official sector bodies, including the FSCA, can take in terms of this breach by Mr. Jooste.
Oh, this is not the end. That's what you are saying. Before I let you go, if you can explain something that you shared in the statement as well, that 1 million rand of this 20 million rand penalty payable by the 6th of January has been levied to encourage to Mr. Jooste for encouraging Mr. Jaap du Toit to sell his Steinhoff shares. What was the difference there in terms of this 1 million rand that has been levied as a fine to Jooste and the others that he encouraged?
We're specifying that because on that particular one, there was no trading which took place by that specific individual. And therefore, the size of the penalty compared to the 20 million rand is obviously quite low.
Unati Kamlana is the Commissioner of the FSCA. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon, talking to us about the fact that they have decided to actually review the fine and revise it downwards from 161 million rand to 20 million rand after the tribunal found in favor of Markus Jooste that he did not, in fact, encourage various people to actually sell their Steinhoff shares just before that particular collapse.